Yep, I can hear you. It's just setting it up to go live, so that way everyone can see. Gecko just said in the chat, welcome Vividen. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you. I just saw your mic. I just saw your icon flash as though you were saying something, so I had to hang on, is your mic muted or something now?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I was just setting up the input and everything. I think we should be good.
All good on my end as far as I understand.
Yeah, everything looks good over here too. I think we're good to get started.
Indeed. I remember the other day I was doing a live stream of Lego Jurassic World with a couple friends of mine, and for some reason the freaking quality kept dropping to 5 frames a second. So you'd have
oh dear.
so you'd have these very nice, pristine, very smooth shots of a decade-old game, and then out of nowhere it would just slow down to the point it looked like a stop-motion animation. So that gave me a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, that's pretty laggy.
I remember 90% of the stream was either us just making horrific jokes, or me just being said there why is the computer lagging?
Yep, sometimes it just turns out like that. Hopefully we'll be good tonight.
Yeah, next minute no one can hear you.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Don't do streams as often as I used to on my channel, but I understand. It gets a little chaotic sometimes, and technology is not always our friend.
No, I remember I used to do a bunch of videos on Australian snakes, and I did one on the King Brown, and it was the perfect take, all in one take. I got the entire recording, and what happened? For some reason, it didn't record, so I was just left with nothing but just silence.
Yep, I've had to do that too.
And now my phone is going off.
20-minute video, and my microphone wasn't even on. Didn't realize it until it was too late.
And now my sister is just constantly spamming me on my phone with something. I just tell her the stream started, and by the looks of it, she's too preoccupied by spamming me. Wonderful. It's like what I was doing earlier with Gecko. I just sent him a gif of a puma told, you just got pumaed.
Nice.
Epic. Yeah, I like pumas.
Yeah, pumas are cool. Very cool animals.
I recently just got a book dedicated to pumas. To which all I have to say is there seems to be a lot of those.
Yeah, isn't it the animal that has the most common names in the same language? I think there are 40 different ways to say puma.
Yeah, 40 different names, and then I think if you add up Native American ones, also it ends up increasing to 80.
I believe it. Makes sense that you'd have a lot of names for something that's so common and can cause so much damage, especially to pre-gunpowder culture.
Yeah, livestock and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember,
They're dangerous animals, but they're beautiful.
To me, they're just sort of goofy the way they look. They're like someone just put a house cat on steroids.
Yeah, pretty much. That's part of why they're dangerous.
It reminds me of one thing I was thinking of earlier, yesterday, because I've got some video projects I'm thinking of working on, and that's one of them is, since everyone compares T-Rex to large theropod dinosaurs, how about what's basically just a miniature T-Rex, Tarbo? How would Tarbo do?
As a comparison to pumas, or as a comparison to T-Rex?
As a comparison to other large theropods. Because, well...
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider. Tarbosaurus is an interesting animal because we don't know as much about it as we think we do. I haven't researched Tarbosaurus in depth. There are people who know a lot more about that particular animal than I do, but there's specimens that I've heard of that apparently are in private collections. There's specimens I've heard of that are really nice that have been, lost or destroyed. There's the story about that Tarbosaurus mummy that got lost back in the 90s, apparently with really nice skin impressions, and it just was left out in the desert for some reason, probably just because you had to come back out of the field of Mongolia. It's a dangerous place to dig, summer, winter, it doesn't matter what time, and it's going to be really harsh conditions. So yeah, Tarbosaurus is awesome though. Good 4 or 5 ton Tyrannosaur. That's, average bull African elephant size, more or less.
Just big boy. I mean, hey, it may not be like frickin' T-Rex, which is basically just Tarbosaurus on steroids, basically.
Yeah.
But obviously, Tarbo has some notoriety.
T-Rex, but half the mass T-Rex is still a very large predator.
You should hear Gecko sometimes when he gets on the topic of T-Rex versus other theropods. I might be sat there going to say something, and then next minute I'm interrupted as he's sat there ranting for like 5 minutes straight about how T-Rex was the ultimate predator.
We've all been there.
We did
We've all been there.
We did one live stream where it was a tier list of which theropods have the best chance of beating T-Rex, and when I put Spinosaurus like somewhere in middle tier, he just started abusing me. It was just like, Calvin, you frickin' moron. No, it belongs at the bottom. It belongs at the bottom. Put it at the bottom. I'm sitting there like, really? Yes. But, it's comparable in size at like 7 ton. That doesn't matter. Put it at the bottom. I can see why lion versus tiger is a big competition.
Oh yeah, that one's a lot closer, I think, than T-Rex versus other megatheropods. It's a much more even match.
I mean, hey, from what I know, we haven't really found any large theropods from Australia yet, so who knows, maybe in like the year 2030 we'll finally find the T-Rex killer.
That would be so cool if it was from Australia.
Yeah, then they would basically just cement that meme of everything wants to kill you.
And Yep. Australia is just a more intense version of everywhere else.
I remember the other day I ended up going to Adelaide, capital city of South Australia, and I checked out a bookshop there, Dimox's bookshop, and they actually had a book there on Australasian prehistoric wildlife. And I did actually want to get it, but when I checked the price tag of like $100, I was just sat there like, no thank you.
Ooh, man. That's like textbook level expensive. That's a bit much.
Yeah. I think the most expensive book I've ever purchased was, I think like $250. Which is, hang on, let me look at the conversion, because I'm talking Australian and you're in America, so AUD to USD, that is $250. $170 US.
That's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that same book, I think I told you about it, it's Don Glutt's Dinosaurs the Encyclopedia, which also...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, which has 7 supplemental volumes to it, and I think overall, me getting all of them, which I have, and these are paperbacks, by the way, which are the cheaper ones, I think that was like $1,500 Australian, which is like $1,000 US. So yeah, pricey.
Yeah, but totally worth it. That's an awesome book series.
Yeah. I've seen people say, sometimes I've gone into arguments online where I might reference 1 or 2 of these books and they go, oh, that one's outdated because it's from like 1997. But in all honesty, from what I've seen, those books are quite comprehensive, even if they are slightly older.
Yeah. It takes a lot of effort to just gather that much information together.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. This is one dude. And he wrote, like...
Yeah, Donald Glut was very impressive. He's done a lot of amazing stuff.
I think that's close to, like, 6,200 pages.
That's a lot of pages.
Like, you can't really say that many other famous paleontologists that people might reference have done similar levels.
It's true, especially because he's done quite a bit outside of paleontology, too. I'm looking at his Wikipedia page right now. Apparently, he's written a bunch of different books. He did the novelization of Empire Strikes Back. He's worked on Spider-Man, Superman, G.I. Joe, Transformers.
Holy Christ.
Go him, wow.
Yeah, I love it. It
looks like he published the first edition of the Dinosaur Dictionary in 1972.
Oh yeah, I recently got the second edition of that book, The New Dinosaur Dictionary.
Very nice.
If I remember correctly, that came out in 1982, and it's now the oldest book in my collection.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, oldest dinosaur book in my collection. I have a bit of a habit for collecting books on dinosaurs and big cats mainly. Because I just like using the books for videos. I find them a bit, I don't know, I guess you could say a bit more useful in a way than just some random stuff I might find on the internet. Unless you're talking like...
there's definite value in that approach.
Yeah.
It's nice having a physical book.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm working on a video about mosasaurs at the moment.
I love mosasaurs.
Yeah. And I remember...
So cool.
I remember the first thing I ended up doing when setting up the reference list was I just pasted all my books in. I have like, I think 6 different books at least I've referenced for that video.
Yeah, that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, because, well, as I've said to people, write that book, that one book, it might contain a bunch of references, and from there, well, you basically just have a treasure trove of information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just recently, I think it was for Christmas, I was telling you about this actually, got Gregory S. Paul's Princeton Field Guide to Marine Reptiles.
Oh yeah, that one.
Mesozoic marine reptiles.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I added on there.
Through the whole thing, but it's got a lot of species in there that I hadn't even heard about. It's got, I think it is one of 2 published mass estimates for a bunch of the obscure pliosaurs like Sachikosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that 13.5 ton figure comes. It's from that book. Bunch of super good stuff. GSP, he's got his moments.
Yeah. I mean, you see people, and I can see why, like, hating on him, because in his Dinosaurs Princeton Field Guide, he has a lot of the taxonomy, like, switched around, or he's made his own changes. Like, I think in there he lists, and he's done this for all 3 editions, by the way. He lists, in all 3 editions, Giganosaurus as possibly a species of Carcharodontosaurus.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. Bit more of, I guess, like a commonplace one. He's placed Saurophaganax as Allosaurus. I think his book lumps both Torvosaurus species together. And also, one of the ones I found most interesting, in 2016's edition of it, the second edition, he lists off T-Rex as being split into 3 different species. With 2 of them being listed as, I think one of them was unnamed gracile species, and the other unnamed robust species. So now we know. We
followed up with the 2022 paper.
Yeah,
about T. Imperator, T. Regina, and T-Rex. That got shot down pretty quick.
I remember as soon, right? Because I ended up getting that book for my birthday, the second edition, and I've recently just gone the third. And I remember when I flicked through it, I was said to like, he thought about this for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, he still sits on that soapbox. He still preaches it in Dinosaur Mailing List, and
yeah,
his take on Nanotyrannus is one that I had never heard before either. He doesn't think that Jane is T-Rex or Nanotyrannus. He thinks that Jane is actually a basal Eutyrannosaur that's completely separate from either of those other taxa, which was not something that I heard before, so that was an interesting idea.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I usually just end up ignoring the taxonomy he's put in those books, because I remember reading something back when the first edition came out saying that he never really gives any reason for it. He just sort of also basically you could amount to it, apart from the part where T. Regina and all that. You can basically just amount his entire evidence to, it just sounds good.
Yeah, that's a lot of his anatomical takes too. I was reading a conversation on Dinosaur Mailing List the other day talking about the new T-Rex speed estimates, and his argument for that was basically, well, its legs look like bird legs, so it must have been fast. Mathematical or biomechanical models aren't important. And so it was a very entertaining watching a bunch of biomechanical experts argue with him about that.
It has legs like bird. It must have run fast. Yeah, the freaking shrink wrap thing you've made.
Yeah. Oh yeah, incredibly so. He's got Sue at 7.5 tons.
I mean, admittedly,
which is insane.
Admittedly for me, right? Like I've had some arguments with people as well where they get a bit nitpicky about the size estimates for dinosaurs. Like I've seen some where they get incredibly nitpicky down to like very decimal point, which just ends up annoying me. Alright, but yeah, sometimes I look and I think, considering how robust Sue was, I doubt she was just like 7.5.
Yeah, that seems a bit low. But also, to give credit where credit's due, GSP has done a lot of really amazing things for paleontology. He's the one who really revolutionized. He basically came up with the idea of modern skeletals. Like our concept of a rigorous skeletal, as we all understand it, as skeletal artists make it, like Hartman and Random, everybody like that. It came from him. He was the one who created that back in the 80s. Been incredibly influential in a lot of very positive ways.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've seen some people complain. Like I remember one person went, "Oh, that book's outdated. Look at the blade Dinokairos on the cover of the second edition. It has a neck like a sauropod." But obviously, the book is still selling enough to get a third edition.
Yeah. It must be pretty successful if they're gonna do that. Oh my goodness! Yeah, I'm looking at that Dinokairos, and that neck is like a straw. It's like a ramen noodle. Oh dear.
I will admit, I'm not a big fan of the cover of the second edition or the first. I think I like the third one though.
I haven't actually looked at the cover of the third one. Let me look at a picture of that.
It looks.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Super skinny acro, Stegosaurus. That is a very skinny acro. My goodness, it needs to eat some food. Get some muscle on those bones. Looks like it's struggling to breathe a little bit.
That's what I think half the time when I look at some of those designs. Just like, Jesus Christ, give it a sandwich or something.
Yeah, or an entire hadrosaurid. I gotta say though, his 1989 Predatory Dinosaurs of the World book was what really kick-started me with actively studying paleo in junior high. I found a copy of that book in 7th grade at the junior high library and just read through it like wildfire. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. It seems like some people just end up starting out with some of these books, so it's like, gotta give some of those people credit.
Exactly. It might not be the most accurate source out there, but it gets people into paleo, and then they can find out accurate sources on their own. It's a good jumping off point. It's probably a better jumping off point than Jurassic Park.
Definitely a better jumping off point.
Yep. Although I do admit that was it for me. That's what got me started with paleo, was Jurassic Park, the first one. I saw it when I was 2 years old, and that started my dinosaur phase. Never really got out of it entirely, and I'm even worse now, so here I am.
Meanwhile with me, yeah, I'd say it was probably Jurassic Park as well that helped start it for me. But it's also just like, well, now I've created my own library of just everything and anything, constantly growing it, and after a while I remember originally I wanted to be a gaming channel, but then after a while I was set to like, there's always videos I end up watching here and there on YouTube, and I'm set to like, I feel like I could do better. And it's just all gone from there.
Yeah. What niche do you feel like you want to fill on YouTube? What's your mission statement, so to speak?
So far, basically, it's just been the case of whatever I feel like doing. I think it's the best way to put it. Like, I remember one of the main things I wanted to do was make these, like, very, in-depth and detailed videos on dinosaurs, I guess you could say. Like, you have some videos that might be, like, 10 minutes long, and they'll give, like, the very brief stuff. Or, like, they might be 5 minutes long, and it's like, this is the Allosaurus. Its name means blah 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 blah. It lived X amount of million years ago in the Jurassic period. Can you say Jurassic? And I'm just sat back thinking, like, I'd really love to see something that's very, like, in-depth and comprehensive on dinosaurs.
More than just the surface level Dora the Explorer kind of thing.
Yeah. Because, well, there's always something new to learn with these things. Like, I remember reading through some stuff for an Allosaurus video I did, and I found something where apparently there was a myth going around for a bit that Allosaurus was the direct ancestor of T-Rex.
It's surprising how many people believe that. Taking anagenesis to a whole new level. It's going backwards and around the corner.
I remember just being set back thinking, like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. And then, well, I don't think it's going to get any better now that you have AI on the rise. Because I remember Gecko and I, we ended up experimenting with ChatGPT. And if I remember correctly, it said Giganotosaurus was larger than T-Rex by like 3 or 4 ton. And then on top of that, it called T-Rex its close ancestor, its close relative. And I remember that was the main one that got us, close relative. To the point that I sat there reading through it, and then I hear Gecko going, whoa, 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 as he's highlighting that bit of close relative T-Rex.
That's pretty funny. I just die a little bit inside every time I see one of those AI generated thumbnails with like, oh, learn about this new dinosaur, and it's just a picture of a T-Rex that's been like butchered to look like a sauropod.
It's horrifying. And I remember even like I was searching around for like Jurassic Park books, not just like the Michael Crichton ones, but also like movie novelizations and all that. And I think I found someone who managed to like get their hands on the official script for the first film and publish it. And then I also came across something else. Nice. I think it was meant to be the film novelization that someone's just pirated on their own, and they've slapped an AI-generated cover on it.
Oh gosh.
And I'm just... Or I remember one other time, we ended up finding this thing where it was like, Triceratops painting, hang up on wall, blah 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 blah. It was an AI-generated T-Rex looking dinosaur.
Of course it was. To AI engines, every dinosaur is just a variant of T-Rex.
I mean, hey, you can have some...
Herbivorous or not, quadrupedal or not, doesn't matter.
I mean, hey, you can have some fun with AI. Like, I remember once I was screwing around with it. Like, I think just to have not... Well, I remember, for an assembly at the school I'm going to, they were said, like, oh, we need to pick a song for this project for the year 12s. And I remember because I was listening to them at the time, I remember the bloody English teacher... He goes something like, maybe 5-finger death punch, and I just lost it laughing. Right, he's just said as a joke, but the next day, I was screwing around with a year 11 friend of mine, with Bing's AI Copilot, and I asked it, write a song about school to the tune of Wash It All Away by 5-Finger Death Punch. All I have to say, all I have to say is, if you want a song about how kids feel about school, just listen to the original song. That gave me a laugh.
Pretty fun.
Or you remember that meme that was going around like several years back of Squidward on a chair? I remember we also asked it, write a song about Squidward to the tune of "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi, and it actually went through and it created the meme.
That's fantastic.
I remember we just said like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it did that." Yeah. So we'll admit, on other times I just end up like asking it just stuff about dinosaurs to see what gets right. Let's just say it needs improvement.
Yeah, especially since the main access model of ChatGPT hasn't been updated in 3 years. But even apart from that, it just will make up sources, it will mix up sources and cite them incorrectly. It will take different papers by the same person, combine them, and somehow get it all wrong. And then attribute it to a different person entirely.
Sometimes I'm just sat back thinking like, maybe, I don't know, don't use AI.
That I'm kind of in that boat, at least for creative ventures. I think it can be useful maybe for coming up with business practices or something, or just sort of brainstorming, but I wouldn't use AI in making a video. I certainly wouldn't use AI in making art that I would present in any way.
So far for me, I've just found it to be the case of just use AI to goof around for a little bit and that's it.
Yeah.
Just have a laugh.
There's definite entertainment value in that, no doubt about it. It can be very funny.
Like, just ask it something like, generate Joe Biden eating ice cream, and trust me, you're gonna get some horrific images.
Oh, I bet.
I remember Gecko and we were dying of laughter yesterday just looking at some of the images it was creating. Let's just say one of them looked a bit pornographic.
Oh dear. That's no good.
I'm pretty sure most of these... I love that, right? Because I remember like checking around, and apparently all the main AI you see people using for images, they have like filters on there so you can't actually generate pornographic images.
That's good.
And then I've searched around a little bit more, and if I remember correctly, they are making bloody AI software to actually do that.
Yikes.
Which is just scary.
That is scary. So you mentioned that Jurassic Park was what got you into dinosaurs. How was that process for you?
I will admit I was like sort of already into dinosaurs at the time, and then my mom was said like, "Oh, there's this movie on the TV. It's called Jurassic Park. Come on, sit down and watch it with us." Yeah, and then I was obsessed with Jurassic Park for a bit. There was also a dinosaur TV series I used to watch, kids TV series called Dinosaur King.
Oh heck yeah!
That
I was watching a couple episodes of that just the other day.
It's just...
There's definite nostalgia.
I think I've described it to people as basically just being Pokemon, but with dinosaurs.
Yeah, wasn't it Game Freak who ended up making it too? So wasn't it the same people?
I don't think so, but from memory at least, if I remember correctly,
It seems like it anyway.
One of the voice actors for one of the characters in the show also voiced, what's his name, Ash in Pokemon.
Nice, that's awesome.
And
I haven't watched all of the show, but I have read most of the manga. I remember reading that in elementary school, checking it out from the library. Oh, there's a new Dinosaur King. We gotta go check it out. And did you ever collect the card games?
No, never got the whole card game stuff. Yeah. But by the time my fix for Dinosaur King rolled around, by the time I ended up becoming obsessed with Dinosaur King, I'm pretty sure it was already like dead in the water.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Kind of sad. To a certain extent, I wish they'd bring Dinosaur King back just to see how that'd go.
I think if they made a reboot, they could make it pretty good.
Maybe don't make it as much like Dinosaur King. I mean, not Dinosaur King, Pokemon.
That was part of the fun, though, honestly. It's like that fossil fighters, build your team, take your favorite dinosaurs, use their stats, use their abilities. That was kind of the whole hook of the series.
Personally, I think for me, if they were to bring it back, I could already see some improvements you can make, like maybe make the dinosaurs look a bit better in terms of accuracy. Obviously do that. But
I
also,
wasn't a big fan of the cartoon and CGI mixed format either. I think it would have been better if it was 100% cartoon, hand drawn.
yeah, I found it a bit weird of how they always like had the 3D dinosaurs for the large ones.
Yeah,
I'm
I
guessing.
didn't much care for that.
I'm guessing maybe it would have been a bit. Who knows? Maybe that was their way of trying to differentiate it from Pokemon a little. Just make the fights
Probably.
3D.
Like, look, we're different. We use CGI.
It's like when you have Hollywood films where it's like, yeah, this is a new movie. We switched out the white guy for a black woman.
Yep.
It's a new show. Look, we switched out the 2D animation for 3D.
The obsession with reboots and remakes has never really gone away. Honestly, ever since movies started making remakes of remakes for decades.
Oh, you have.
Yeah, speaking of remakes, reboots, soft sequels,
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how Jurassic World 4 turns out. I'm hopeful. I'm confident it will at least be better than Dominion.
I was just about to say that because I remember, isn't it next year they're putting out the new film?
Yeah, it's next summer.
All I have to say on that subject is, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, David Koepp is coming back as the scriptwriter. He's the one who did the first two Jurassic Park movies, so that's encouraging. Scarlett Johansson is the lead, and, she's Scarlett Johansson. She's great. So I hope that they take it in a little bit more of a serious way, kind of like returning to the horror thriller roots of the first film, because that's really what made it so good. The horror elements just disappeared after that very first one.
I think I also saw something where, from colleague Darren Naish, isn't he trying to make his own dinosaur movie with Hollywood?
Oh, that's the first I've heard of that, but that would be fantastic. I hope that comes true.
Like, I remember, I think I saw something back on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, back, I think it was around December last year, where he actually said he was trying to get some script pitched to Hollywood to make his own dinosaur movie.
Hey, if anybody can make their own dinosaur movie, it's probably him.
I love it, right? From what I know, he hasn't been in academia for a while, or at least hasn't been able to land a proper job in one. So he's got his Tetrapod Zoology blog, he's got TetZooCon, he's written Christ knows how many books, and as far as I know, he's going to be putting out 3 more books this year, and now he's trying to get a movie. Oh, and then also Prehistoric Planet.
Yeah, even just with the traction from Prehistoric Planet alone, not even including the other platform that he's been building up for years and years, he'd be in a good position to do that sort of thing. He could make a good pitch.
Like, the more and more I look at it, like, one of the things I usually end up doing now, whenever I get a book on dinosaurs or something about, like, fossil animals or something, what's the first thing I end up doing? I check if there's a bibliography or index, and then I'm searching for him. I'm just searching to see if I can find Darren Nation there somewhere.
Nice. The seal of quality.
No, because it just seems like wherever I go, I see his face somewhere.
Obviously, that's really the way to go with paleo if you want to make a living from it, is you want to engage with the media and you want to engage with publicity.
Yeah.
Because there's, it's not a money market. It's not a money field. And that's something that my master's mentor has been, talked about all the time, is if you're going to go into paleo and you want to make a career of paleo, you have to know exactly how you're going to do it, what type of field you want to work in, what type of subfield you want to work in, where you're going to get a job. It's, some people just want to be interested in it and be passionate about it, and that's fantastic. And if you want to work in it as a career, that's definitely something to consider long and hard, and think about how you can make it work financially, because you definitely can. If that's something you want to do, you can make it work. It's absolutely possible. You just have to be smart about it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I guess if he ends up landing a movie, he could end up making a fair bit of money.
Yeah, that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah. Next minute you see him become first paleontologist to ever be a billionaire.
That would be pretty awesome.
Like, not only has he got some quite notable books under his belt, like, what's it called? A Dinopedia. That was the first book from him I ended up getting. The book he co-authored with Paul Barrett, Dinosaurs, How They Lived and Evolved. What's the other one? All Yesterdays. That's probably the first and most notable book. Or first most notable book. Actually, I'd say that's probably his most famous book. Then you also have Mesozoic Art, I think it is, and next year they're also putting out Mesozoic Art 2. Yeah, and then, as I said, with quite a few of the books I end up skimming through, when I check their indexes or bibliographies, I always see something from Nation there. Like, he's covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's got quite the extensive range of experience.
There's Big Cat Legends of Australia. Black Panthers Black Panthers said to roam the continent. So I think I'm now on a 7-episode streak of me mentioning them in YouTube on this podcast. But anyway, right, like, I remember reading through a couple books here and there, and he's mentioned in them. You then also have stuff of, like, the Thylacine still being alive. He's mentioned in it. I have a book on the evolution of big cats. He's mentioned there. I have one on marine reptiles. He's also mentioned in there. And then he's also written his own book on marine reptiles.
What are some of your favorite marine reptiles?
I'd say mosasaurs.
Solid, very solid. Do you have a favorite mosasaur genus or species?
I don't know why, but I feel the need to lean towards Tylosaurus. Mainly, I think it's the type species, Proriga.
The classic.
You know, the big boy. Actually, I'm pretty sure if you read through Gregory Paul's book, he lists it as the largest. At, I think it's like 12 to 13 plus meters and 6.7 ton. So, you know, big mosasaur.
Big mosasaur, big lizard. I am curious about the idea that smaller, more basal mosasaurs may have had venom, given how closely related they are to monitor lizards and snakes.
Oh yeah, I remember reading about that in Darren Nasher's book. In all honesty, I never actually thought about that before, of the possibility of mosasaurs being venomous.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't know what ecological pressure would make them keep their venom if they had it to begin with, if, you know, the early mosasaur ancestors had it. Animals that big typically don't have venom, but Komodo dragons have at least venom-like proteins contained within their saliva in addition to a septic bite. So there's, you know, there's not a precedent, since Komodo dragons evolved a long time after mosasaurs, but there's at least an example of something within a small mosasaur weight class that we could look at. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
You know, honestly, it reminds me of one thing I was thinking the other day when I was one YouTube channel, Wild World. I remember they did a video on like how Jurassic Park can make a sort of anthology series where one of the episodes they had was based around hunting the mosasaur in Jurassic World. And I remember going like, oh, I could imagine them making some sort of film about living mosasaurs where it's like a greyhound. Have you seen that film?
I don't know that I have.
It's a World War II film based around them having to escort cargo ships across the Atlantic to Britain. I believe it's based on a book called The Good Shepherd. So you have like the main captain played by Tom Hanks, and he's got to guide his destroyer into making sure that German U-boats don't sink the cargo vessels. I was just sat back thinking, like, imagine something like that, but they changed out the German U-boats for mosasaurs.
Especially if it's the Jurassic World mosasaur that's 50 meters long and 300 tons.
Or you see coming over the horizon, like, you hear this freaking loud, like, groaning noise of the mosasaur vocals. And it's like, you got either depth charge or torpedo the thing.
Yeah. I think that would probably be the best way for them to go if they're making another movie. Focus on the mosasaur, at least assuming that they're doing like a post-Dominion timeline kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because that was probably the most popular character from the Jurassic World movies. It wasn't any of the humans. It was the mosasaur. Everybody loves the mosasaur.
In all honesty, I think they really need to give the mosasaur more screen time. Yeah, indeed. Because it's like...
Oh, 100%.
So far, the mosasaur just feels like it's there, and that's about it. Like, they could have had it die in, They could have just had it die in Jurassic Park, not Park, World, off-screen or something. Because, like...
I'm really glad that they did.
Because, like, when you notice they were sort of setting up something with the mosasaur at the beginning of Fallen Kingdom, where they show it managing to make its way out of its enclosure. So it's like, ooh, what are they hinting at there? We're gonna have to go hunting the mosasaur in this film, but no, they do like nothing with it.
Yeah, I wonder what it was eating in the lagoon, since it seemed like it was there for months.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think they stated right. Jurassic World is set in the year it was released in, so 2015. Fallen Kingdom, I believe, is set in 2019. So the year.
Goodness, so it's been years.
Yeah, so it was in there for what? Freaking 5 years. 4 years. 4 years. And I sort of just look at that and it's like, for the love of Christ.
How did it survive?
I think
it has the ability to like, enter a coma at will, enter like brumation essentially, but underwater.
There's one thing I think might be the case. I think what might have been the case with bloody how this thing survived in the lagoon is well, from memory, right? Like, you notice they give it a very crocodilian look in the film. Oh, someone just commented, Fallen Kingdom.
Did.
Someone just commented in the chat, Fallen Kingdom beginning is in 2016. Okay. Guess I forgot that bit, or they just don't state it in the movie. But anyway, and now Gecko just commented, 3 years, that's how long it lived in there with no food as quoted by the film. The guys in the sub mentioned how long. Well, anyway, as I was going to go over it, since they gave it a quite crocodilian look in the film, I wonder if it might be the case that, well, if I remember correctly, crocs, can't they slow down their metabolism to the point that some species can go for like 2 years without eating?
Yeah, I mean, their metabolisms are very slow just at a basic level. They can go for a long time without food. But also, there aren't any crocodilians that are 50 meters long. That would be a ridiculous calorie intake demand just by virtue of keeping something that big alive.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean...
So, yeah, maybe it was brumating or something. Some sort of hibernation state until the sub woke it up and it got hungry.
Yeah, it's like... It still reminds me of back when... I remember watching this with my dad. It was that video you first put out on the giant ichthyosaurs. Not the Swiss Tyrant one, the one... Well, I think you put up on screen something saying they could have possibly been up to like 550 ton in weight.
Oh, goodness. I don't remember that, but I probably did say it.
I don't think you said it in the video. I think it was just an estimation you showed up on screen in text. But,
Gotcha.
I remember looking at that, and both of us was just sat there like, what the hell was this thing eating? If it was that big.
Yeah, there's a lot about the ecology of the giant ichthyosaurs that we really don't know. And by a lot, I mean pretty much everything. There's very little we do know. We know, probably wasn't an herbivore. There aren't really any large true herbivores in the ocean. It probably wasn't a filter feeder. There's no evidence for filter feeding structures in ichthyosaurs, period. Just hasn't been discovered, so it's not parsimonious to assume that. It probably wasn't a super fast raptorial macropredator like Himalayasaurus or like Mosasaurus, just because they were probably a little bit too big for that, and the jaw structure is a little bit more thin than the robust, thick triangle shape of Himalayasaurus, which was essentially a super mosasaur. So what seems most likely is it was probably kind of like Shonosaurus, where it had long, thin, but strong jaws, ate large fish, ate other large, vertebrates. Large in an absolute sense, maybe not large relative to itself, because most things were not large relative to an ichthyotitan or an Austcolossus.
I remember we just sat back thinking, like, imagine if these things were still alive today. Like, you just have 550-ton kaiju. Imagine it just...
That would be...
It just gets pissed off, casually flicks someone's boat over.
That would be pretty crazy. It is worth noting, of course, that if I ever did cite a 500-ton estimate, that's pretty outdated. The highest that we feasibly have for the largest ichthyosaur remnants would be about 300 tons for the Austcolossus. That's on the high end. It could have ranged anywhere between 110 and about 300 tons, which is still insanely massive. That's definitely comparable to a large blue whale. Although
Actually,
this thing was not eating krill.
Actually, I'm curious now. I'm just going to see if I can find that video and see if you did actually throw up 550 ton on there. Because I think that was the largest number I saw in that video, but I could have misread it. Maybe that was just a typo you made or something.
Quite possibly. Was it one of the recent videos, or was it the one from like 2018?
I think I've just found it. It's called World's Biggest Predator Wasn't Fully Grown.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so it's one of the recent ones.
Yep.
Yeah, if there's anything that says 500 there, it's definitely a typo.
It's one of those things where it's like when you forget to translate it from feet to meters, so then it ends up being the wrong size. Where is it? Just seeing if I can find it on screen. Okay, I found it. If you want to pull it up on yourself so that way you can see it, it's 7 minutes and 42 seconds in. And it lists 509 tons for Austcolossus, with a length of 43.1 meters.
Oh, okay. I think I know the part. Is that talking about a speculative, fully grown Austcolossus?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, what? Yeah, so that's just total speculation. That's not based in the actual fossil that we have. We just know that the ichthyotitan specimens that we have, at least the two that have been histologically studied, and the Austcolossus, those are confirmed not to be fully grown. There were still some growth left, but they weren't juveniles, they weren't adolescents. They were either subadults or young adults. So while there was still growth left, it probably wouldn't have been super significant. They were decently close to being mature.
Either way, like, I mean, just saying for hypothetical, if it did manage to hit 500 ton, like, imagine just having that thing roaming the oceans today. Like, I don't think there would be such a thing as whale conservation, because the Japanese would be going after this thing instead. I could imagine this is like some sort of movie now, of just like the ichthyosaur hunters. Like, have it set in, like, back the old whaling days with wooden sailing ships.
Oh man, that would not go well for them.
Try hunting a 500-ton ichthyosaur. I could imagine that actually being an interesting movie now.
That would be pretty cool. I would watch it.
But even then, still at, like, say, I don't know, 300 ton, I think you said was best. Highest estimates. 300 ton, was it? Like even
Yeah,
that.
that's the highest, somewhat plausible estimates that we could make for the sub-adult / young adult that we have. Anywhere between 110 and about 300, a little over 300.
Yeah, like even
anywhere within that range is possible.
Even at 300, that's still like Jesus Christ. All you hear is just Pacific Rim music start playing.
That's a movie with a good soundtrack.
Actually, no, I could imagine like someone make a game based around this sort of stuff of exploring different oceans from around prehistoric time, and as soon as you encounter this thing, just warning: Leviathan class animal approaching.
Yeah, are you sure whatever you're doing is worth it?
I want to see someone make the
game.
I want to see someone make this as a mod now for Subnautica. Like make the Reaper Leviathan.
Class.
Make the Reaper Leviathan into Mosasaurus, and then have the Reefbacks as the Ichthyosaurs.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe as the squid hunting Ichthyosaurus, potentially like Shastasaurus. Assuming that that's the ecology of Shastasaurus, we don't know if it was. But so far, that seems to be the only giant ichthyosaur that didn't have teeth that we've found full jaws of. It's more of the exception rather than the rule. Most giant ichthyosaurs seem to have had more of a raptorial macrophagous diet. Spinosaurus, Himalayasaurus, etc.
Reminds me, you know the Meg, right? Megalodon? The book series?
Oh yeah, I read the first one when the movie came out.
Yeah, I think I have the first 6. There's 7 in total, in case you're wondering. And I remember in there, right, there's one Megalodon they feature for, I think, the first 3 novels after the first book, called Angel, the Angel of Death. Very creative. Where I think they state her to be around 74 feet and 50 US tons. Then they feature, in proper Walking with Dinosaurs fashion, a Liopleurodon, which I think they state to be 120 feet. So that's like, 40 meters? And 100 US ton.
Wow.
So in other words, kaiju. That's what I just call
a chunky animal.
That's what I just call these things now, kaiju. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think they did actually give like a proper in-universe explanation for why this thing was so big, rather than just going, I saw it in Walking with Dinosaurs. Where I think they said Bergman's rule of evolution, because this thing was living deep down in the cold for millions of years. But either way, I'm just sat back thinking, Jesus Christ, he went Walking with Dinosaurs mode.
Yeah, pretty much. Man, I know that we haven't really discovered anything convincing for a supermassive pliosaur like the Walking with Dinosaurs Liopleurodon, but I hope that it becomes reality at some point. That would just satisfy my childhood. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. 150-ton pliosaur.
You should check out the author Max Hawthorne. If I remember correctly, he's made claims over the years that he has fossils in his collection of 74-foot plus pliosaurs, but he's never showed them off.
Yeah, I'm not terribly convinced by the sorts of things that he's been saying to justify the fictional pliosaurs he writes about, but I don't have any problem with him writing about fictional giant pliosaurs. You know, he writes sci-fi books. Nothing wrong with that.
I've seen a couple people here and there say that in reference to Max Hawthorne, he's probably only just doing it as a grift to sell the books.
Possibly. I don't want to assume his intentions, but
I remember coming across one where it was a screenshot of a Facebook post he made, where I think he said that he now has a fossil in his collection that proves, as he put it, and I don't know how he got all this information from just one fossil, by the way, that Prognathodon was, according to him, the largest mosasaur at over 80 plus feet and 76 US tons.
For Prognathodon?
Yeah. And I think he also said in there that it could rip its prey to pieces. It sounds like something out of one of his novels, since as far as I understood, these animals swallowed their prey whole, mostly. And then from there, I think he also said something of how this is short of us proving that 74-foot plus pliosaurs existed.
Huh. I mean, a 70-foot Prognathodon would be terrifying. And Prognathodon was definitely big. Like, it was a large mosasaur without argument.
I'm just sat back,
ranging from 7 to potentially 12 meters. That's still huge. It's like 40 feet. But 70 feet? I mean, maybe you could make an argument considering just with developmental plasticity in lizards, considering that mosasaurs are a subclade of lizards.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, oh, if a 40-foot specimen is average, then maybe we could make an argument for a 70-footer being the top and, 5 standard deviations away from the average. I could see that as a statistical argument, but I don't believe that we have any fossil evidence for something that big. Not any mosasaurs, anyway.
I think the highest number I've ever seen attributed to a mosasaur was from Mike Everhart in Oceans of Kansas, where I think he said that you'd probably find that really old mosasaurs might have gone up to like 20 meters for Tylosaurus and Mosasaurus. But that's going off of like the older estimations where, Mosasaurus was like casually 18 meters.
Yeah, that was a bit of a different estimation technique. We have better remains now. We know things better.
So it's just like, I look at it and it's like, Jesus Christ. What are some of these people thinking? Liplurodon, I keep wanting to call it Liplurodon. Prognathodon could definitely get up to 70 feet, according to this guy. I think he's also stated, he saw there 80 tons for Prognathodon. And I'm just sat back thinking, dude, I think you're going a bit too much off of whales. There's a bit of a difference.
Yeah. Whale-sized mosasaur would be cool, though.
Like I said,
as far as I know, it didn't exist, but could be cool.
Some of this stuff sounds like it would be the next Hollywood action blockbuster.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
I can already imagine the title. It'll be something generic like Goliath.
Yeah, something along those lines. Goliath, Behemoth, Leviathan.
Actually, no. I could imagine someone would try and tie it into religion, so they'd call it a Leviathan, and you'll have one god-bothering character throughout the whole film who's just preaching about the Bible and of how this is Leviathan.
That seems like it would definitely be like a late 90s creature feature.
Praise the Lord! Sci-fi. The Lord is coming for your sins. He has sent Leviathan upon ye.
Munch, munch, munch. Time to eat some civilians.
I remember yesterday I got to watch Under Paris, I think it's called, on Netflix, which is a shark movie. And I remember just watching it thinking, this is just a rip-off of Jaws. So I can imagine...
Most shark movies are.
Yeah. It seems like that's now just the formula for them, just copy-paste Jaws and change some stuff up.
True. Well, Jaws was so well-written and it worked so well that everybody and their dog who wanted to make a shark movie was like, oh man, I can do that.
I think
they're wrong. They can't do that.
I think I just joked to my dad about it, saying, "Oh, look, it's just Jaws, except they changed out the shark scientist for a woman, and they've made the police chief Middle Eastern."
Just changing some of the characters around, and it's the exact same movie.
And then there's
change the shark for a tiger shark.
And then there's a bit more preaching about like climate change and pollution compared to 1970s movies. Which, all well and good, but at the same time, sometimes I want to, escape from the doom and gloom of the world.
Just want to watch sharks eat people?
Yeah, I don't want to have shoved down my throat all this thing of pollution, climate change, and everything else. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people feel the same way, because you're probably find with a lot of people now, it's just a case of they don't really care about climate change. They just want to get on with their lives, especially considering the economy of the modern day.
It's a complicated world.
Like, I remember seeing something where apparently a lot of the Just Stop Oil protesters you see, well, not only are they funded by oil companies, which already just puts a bit of a dent in their credibility, but apparently a lot of them are just unemployed morons on welfare, so they can just go freely out and do this sort of stuff and interrupt people's day. Like, some of these people have kids they want to get to school, or they want to get off to work so that they can feed their kids. They don't want to listen to you banging on about we must stop the oil industry, yet you're funded by the oil industry.
Yeah, economy is a complex question, especially, well, shouldn't say especially when politics are involved. It's economics. It's always political, but
yeah,
lots of factors to be considered in every environment.
Definitely a lot of factors to be considered. A lot. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think we've talked for a good hour now, so I think we can move on to the questions I told you about. So I think we'll do the specific ones first, and I think Gecko and Lizette will very much like these. So if Gecko's still watching, all I have to say is comment in the chat because I'm about to show him what you want me to show him. A friend of mine, referring to Gecko, has been working on a dinosaur battle royale video game called The Time Forgotten, and wanted me to show you some models from the game if you're interested.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember with this game, The Time Forgotten, one of the main ones he had sort of set up was T-Rex, because that's basically just a standard for any video game. I don't see Gecko commenting in the chat, so I'll just message him. Oi. I'm gonna show Vividen Rex now. Stop watching. So hopefully, he responds. Okay, where's the images he wanted me to show you? Because he sent them to me earlier. Just give me a second. Scrolling. So here's one of them. Wait, what? it sent. I thought I copy pasted the image.
I just got the link to the stream again.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
So here's an image of Rex.
Is it showing up in the stream?
Should be also for some people watching.
Man, that is nice.
Yeah, from what I know, well, he just said old, so bit of an older version of Rex. To which all I have to say, well, Gecko, is
pretty.
These are just the images he sent me. Here's another one.
No, that's a pretty model. Ooh, I like the side view. That coloration is very nice. I like the stripes. Kind of reminds me of the Dinotopia T-Rex from like the 2003 miniseries.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah, coloration is beautiful.
Well, I guess there's Gecko's question answered of what you think of Rex. Because I remember just the day before this, he ended up going to me like, I need you to get his thoughts on Rex.
On the model specifically?
And he just sent, yeah.
I have two questions about the model. They're not like nitpicks, just matters of curiosity. About the lips, it looks like you kind of went for like a mix between Varanid and Alligatorid, like scalation there. Were those the references that you used? It looks really nice. It's very aesthetically pleasing.
I'm not
Just
sure.
curious about what that is.
I'm not sure what he used exactly. And Gecko, I sent him the new one, so be quiet now, you little bastard. But anyway, I'm not sure what he used exactly for the lip models. I think he said one of his main references was Prehistoric Planets Rex.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's the main one. I remember, like, talking with him here and there when he's asking me about it, and... Well, you should ask him to show off some of the, like, previous iterations of Rex. I remember there was one where it had, like, a Giganotosaurus, Chad Chin, I believe it was nicknamed.
I love the Chad Chin.
And I remember just when I pointed that out to him, he said, like, oh my god, that's disgusting. Lizat, what did you do? Or that, Daedon at the door meme. Remember when that was all over the internet?
Oh, I remember that. That was, what, like 4 years ago?
Yeah, I remember he also showed me bloody...
Yeah, that's a good game model for Rex. I like it. Looks like it'd be fun to play.
I remember bloody, I remember with the Daedon at the door meme, he was checking out one of the frickin' newer iterations of Rex Lizat had made, because it's Gecko and Lizat working on the game together. It's only them. I remember... I think he was looking at one of the iterations of Rex Lizat made, and he said, like, I swear, this has to be on purpose. Do you not see the resemblance between it and the Daedon at the door meme? So then we just sat there laughing. So he wanted me... The images I'm just sending you now, those are the ones he wanted specifically for me to show you. To which all I have to say, Gecko, is next time make sure to be specific, or else I'm just going to grab the random images you've sent me.
Ooh. The detail on the scales is gorgeous.
Yeah, personally, I did a T-Rex video a long time ago. Actually, I'm pretty sure this year it will be 2 years old. And I'm thinking of doing a revised version at some point, so maybe I'll use one of these as the thumbnail if Gecko's alright with that.
Yeah,
anyway.
It doesn't look like it's showing up in the stream, but...
And now, to Gecko's disappointment. Gecko, guess what? I am sending the Vividen the naked.
The what?
Basically, Lizat was screwing around with the model at one point for Rex, and he ended up creating this monstrosity they have dubbed the Naked.
That's a terrifying name.
So
it looks like a pair of chicken legs with just a single dentary as its entire torso.
I actually now have this as a poster in my school locker, by the way. I remember the girls in my... too late, Gecko, I've sent it to him. But yeah, I remember a couple of the girls, when they first saw it in my locker, they were just sitting like, what the hell?
I'd probably react pretty similarly if I saw that in that environment.
All I have to say is, right, you have that film, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Nah, for the girls in my school, it's Close Encounters of the Calvin Kind.
Oh, I bet that's exciting.
But yeah, I think I also was going to take it to some party they had for the year 12s and 11s, but I forgot to take it. I remember when I told Gecko that, he just went, traitor. Someone just commented. Someone commented in the chat, "Oh, hail naked."
I'm sure you could start a cult around that without too much difficulty.
Indeed. So
okay, so I've probably got about half an hour left. Do we want to keep doing the question section?
Yeah, sure. I think we'll just get the specific ones out of the way, and we can save general for another occasion. because there's only 2 more specific questions. So,
Okay.
from what I've heard, you're a paleontologist in training. Would you like to go over how well that has been going?
Yeah, I just started working at the BYU Museum of Paleontology a few weeks ago. I did a week-long dig in the Cedar Mountain Formation. We dug up a bunch of Gastonia material. It was awesome. And right now I'm working in the prep lab. So I'm learning how to prepare the fossils, how to remove matrix, how to reconstruct them, use all the different adhesives and things to fit everything back together and make it a coherent bone structure. It's an awesome museum. There's a lot of really fun things that we've got going on there. We've got some ground sloths. We have a couple big megatheropod skull cast. There's a Carcharodontosaurus skull cast right next to a skull cast of Amon H5027, which is the Tyrannosaurus that Rexy from Jurassic Park was based off of. Really cool to have those two right next to each other. We've got a Deinosuchus skull, Utahraptor, of course, since this museum was basically the team that discovered Utahraptor 30 years ago.
Epic.
And there is more news about Utahraptor coming out probably in about a year, so keep an eye out for publications about Utahraptor. That's going to really, I won't say reinvent, but significantly enhance our understanding of the taxon. I can't say anything else.
Gecko just asked if you've used the drill and said it's very fun.
I have. I have. Yeah, we use air drills with various sizes of bits depending on the type of thing that we need to be doing, and it's very satisfying to drill through matrix.
Yeah, I got to go to the SA Museum recently, South Australian Museum, which is in Adelaide.
Oh, nice.
Well, I have to say that it's one of those sort of museums where they've like not updated anything. Like the polar bear on there, it's still called like Phylarctos maritimus, which is the old taxonomic name. It's now Ursus maritimus. If I'm correct, the same is also the case with the puma bear. It's Felis concala on there when it should be Puma concala. And I should send you some of the images so that way you can check them out. But I remember they also had a bunch of like taxidermied animals, and I lost it laughing when I saw the cheetah they had there. Because I remember there's this 1 year 11 girl, and I was in a class with her once, and she was just staring across the opposite side of the room at me. From what I know, this is just commonplace for her. She has this very judgmental stare at people. Then when you glance at her for like 5 seconds, she'll go, "Why are you staring at me?" But I remember looking at this cheetah, and it had the same look of like, you've messed up in life, haven't you? And the thing that I found most hilarious, it even had a similar facial structure to her.
I think that cheetah sounds like it's a meme format waiting to happen.
Okay, Gecko just had another question. Okay, last one I swear. Ask him if he's been to Thanksgiving Point, and specifically if he's seen the art of Utahraptor there.
Yeah, the last time I went to Thanksgiving Point was about 3 weeks ago. I got to do some behind-the-scenes work with a bunch of sauropod paleontologists on a really cool project. Can't talk about it again, but it's awesome. I'm super excited to see the sorts of things that they publish based off of it. Well, I can talk about it a little bit since it's on display at the prep lab there. They're working on a gorgeous, decently complete Barosaurus.
Awesome.
And I think it's the most complete Barosaurus actually that we've found. It's pretty remarkable, and it's in extraordinary condition. But Thanksgiving Point is the museum that I grew up with. It's fantastic. I don't know if I've seen the recent Utahraptor art though.
Personally, for me, will admit I'm interested in getting into paleontology myself as a career. Like recently at the school, I ended up getting to do a course on ancient marine reptiles from the University of Alberta.
Ooh, very nice.
I love it when I told Gecko, because he ended up doing a Discord call with me, and he goes like, "Oh, how's your day been going? Any interesting things that have happened at the school?" And I just went to him, not much really. I get teased about liking one of the year 11 girls, where people say I like her. Year 9 boys being lunatics again, as usual. Not much else. And then when I go later, like, "Oh, I just remembered, I'm doing a marine reptile course," he said they're like, "Wow, The main thing that goes to your mind is you being teased about one of the Year 11 girls. You talk with some random girl. Year 9's being idiots again, and you forget to mention the course.
That's the best part.
Just abusing me about it. And of course, Gecko sends me more messages. I thought you said this would be the last question. He said, I presume Barosaurus or something. Some lady let me keep a bit of the tail vertebrae. Oh, and there it is. He mentions it. Okay, I think he was referring to the Barosaurus he just mentioned. Thanksgiving pointer's cool. Tell him no they haven't. It is hideous. So I'm guessing that's referring to the Utahraptor art. Okay,
Gotcha.
Final specific question. And I remember getting this a while ago. I think this was like several months before you did your video on cope.
Oh yeah.
I recall someone saying to me you are not widely trusted or highly regarded in the paleo community. Do you have any idea where that might have come from?
Well, I think the biggest reason that came from is because I started my YouTube channel essentially as an AVA debate battle channel. That was the reason I started it. That's what got me into making these YouTube videos. Was I went and saw Jurassic World in high school, when it first came out, and I was like, man, Jurassic Park 3 makes me mad. T-Rex versus Spinosaurus, that was so dumb. So I went and made that T-Rex versus Spinosaurus video. It's terrible. Don't go watch it. It's one of the worst videos I've made. Incredibly outdated. It was outdated when it was released. And so that was pretty much what the channel was for a long time. It wasn't really a scholarly channel, educational channel. That's more of a recent development, honestly.
Yeah, I think I said to someone the other day, I remember back when you only had, I think, like 5,000 subs, and then you make a couple videos on like the size of Barosaurus, the size of this other animal, this, and next minute you've just shot up in subscribers, and now I see you referenced here and there in Discord servers, or mentioned. Like, I remember there was this one period where basically me and a couple of my friends were basically freaking out over any new video you put out. Like, straight away I'd get a message from Gecko or Brutalis where they said, they're like, hey, have you seen this new video from Vividen on the size of this new animal? Like, that was back, I think, around the same time you put out the Cope video. First one where you originally placed Cope at, what was it, 12.4 metric ton?
Yeah, I think it was like 12.4 tons.
Yeah, and then it was just like from there, just frickin'. Next minute, I think it was also your Giganosaurus vs. T-Rex video, and then a couple others here and there. Just everyone freaking out over them.
Yeah, the big theropods are controversial. Who knew?
I love what he just said
I'm
in relation to your Spino vs. T-Rex video. You can't touch Spinosaurus. Videos get outdated in 5 minutes on them. Soon it will have wings and be flying, and I know it. Also, not questions. Rexo stare.
Yeah. That's pretty accurate.
Actually, hang on. Where is it? If I'm going to show you anything else of Rex from his video game, it must be this image. We have dubbed it Rexo, after Moto.
I like him big, I like him chunky.
Should make this a sticker on your Discord server. If Gecko will allow it. Just a Rexo stare.
I like him big.
And the thing is, I have more. I have more of these images. You have no
really
clue how many of these I've grabbed.
Hilarious, actually. I recently rewatched Madagascar 2 a few months ago, and it has held up extremely well. I think it's the best in the series.
So here's more Rexos. Just the stare.
That's amazing.
Gecko just sent me a message saying, Jesus Christ. So I don't think he liked me showing that off.
The Rexo, it's magnificent. All 15 of them.
I remember with that one there where it's like very pixelated and corrupted looking, I remember what happened was he was sharing his screen, but Discord was lagging out badly, so I just get this corrupted looking video.
That actually is really funny. Gecko, if it's okay with you, could I make that like an emoji? Because that's hilarious. That's so awesome.
I loved the comment. He just said, Jesus, you're even pulling out the ones from nearly a year ago. He just said, nah, I don't care. The video game is gonna have memes around this anyways, and I know it. So I take that as a yes, as far as making these emojis.
Perfect. I'm very happy to hear that.
But yeah, I remember I lost it laughing. I sent him a couple of those like hundreds of times. So yeah, as you can see, I end up having fun with frickin' Rexo.
It's a good thing to have fun with. That's awesome.
Who knows? Maybe if you do another T-Rex video on like Cope or something, you should have the TTF model as the thumbnail for a bit of promotion.
Yeah, that could be cool. Have him send me some screenshots and stuff, some more images, and maybe we can work something out. There will be more information coming out about Cope soon, so keep an eye out.
In all honesty, I remember as soon as I heard of Cope, I said, like, this is gonna go on for a bit, isn't it? Like, I remember everyone was said they're like ranting, you know, Scotty's the biggest, strongest, toughest, meanest, biggest, baddest dinosaur to ever live as far as theropods is concerned. Then Cope spawns in.
Yeah, even people who don't quite accept Cope have to acknowledge that it's, you know, it's okay if you don't think he's 11 plus tons, but he's pretty noticeably the biggest Rex that we've found so far. And there's going to be a lot more information coming out soon with more details, more bones. It's a lot more complete than we originally thought. I won't go into too much detail, but I'll talk about it a little bit actually in my next video that's coming out pretty soon. So stay tuned.
Gecko just said he likes the idea of you know, using the model for a thumbnail on T-Rex. I love one comment someone just left in the chat. We coping with this one.
It's true. That's where the nickname came from, Copium Rex.
Well, hey, I remember the other day I even found one of the like older books to actually mention Cope, which was what's it called, Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Tyrant King, I believe it's called, by Peter Larson.
Yep. There's some really good info in there that often gets forgotten just because it's obscure specimens.
I remember for a bit I wanted to get that book. I actually wanted to get a couple different books I've found on Tyrannosaurs, but in all honesty, I'm starting to run out of space in my room for all the books I have.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
Yeah, like I really need to clean up my room and then find somewhere else to put all these books in terms of like trying to compact them all in. So there's my project for the last of the school holidays. Clean up my room to make it spotless, and then make sure the library looks good.
Yeah, that's a constant task.
I mean, I already have a couple different books I can use for like Tyrannosaurs. What's his name? David Hone. I have his book, The Tyrannosaur Chronicles.
Oh, great book.
Yeah, I've seen that book recommended everywhere. Then I think it's, what's his name? Stephen Brizzetti?
Oh, yep. He's got some good stuff, for sure.
Rise and Fall of Dinosaurs. I think that has 2 chapters on Tyrannosaurs. One on Tyrannosaurs and then one on T-Rex itself. So, there you go. 2 books I can use already. And then I have Don Glut's books. And that's all I should have to say. I think that series overall has like close to somewhere between like 70 to 100 pages on T-Rex alone. Like it's nuts. But hey, that's what I like of having all the books I have, because it's, you know, then I just have this massive information library, and you should also see the amount of bookmarks I have on Chrome, because some of these books, right, you know, they recommend like different websites here and there, so I just end up bookmarking them all. I think I have close to 800 bookmarks at the moment.
That's a lot. That's impressive.
Gecko, give me that. I am sending that to the Vividen right now. He's gonna hate me for this. Talk about Rex getting corrupted.
That is deeply cursed.
I could see him typing already. I think I've pissed him off. Well, you know what's gonna happen to me when this live stream ends? He's gonna fly down to Australia and he's gonna hunt me down.
Well, you will be missed.
No, then I can't interview other YouTubers.
We appreciate your service.
Calvin's bookmark library. Anything and everything. That's about right. That is about right. I remember with the marine reptile course I mentioned earlier from University of Alberta, which I'd say was definitely an interesting course, so you can find it on Coursera, I think it's called. Great course, I recommend checking it out if you can.
Nice.
I remember they had all these like course notes and PDF files. The school printer in the year 12 room ran out of paper as I was printing them all off. I don't think I really even ended up using any of the notes for the course itself. I now just have it as like a little reference thing. So there you go, I ended up getting my own little reference book out of it, because it's like 166 pages worth of information. Admittedly, I will admit the course is in need of dating in terms of information, because it seems like a fair bit of it is sort of aged, I guess you could say. Even though I think this course came out in like 2019 or so. But still, I'd recommend checking it out anyway, because I learned a fair bit from it. I think they also, what is it, Dinosaurs 101, I think is another one from there. And then after that, they also have one on theropods and the evolution of birds.
Yeah, you should post the link in the public server after the call.
Public
so as
server.
Many people can look into it as possible.
Yeah, I think you've posted it. Rexo.
Oh, 100%.
So
Too funny not to.
Rexo likes you. Uh-oh.
That's gonna live on forever. It's been immortalized.
Gecko just said he thinks the stream crashed.
It has gotten a little bit laggy, but I don't know if it's crashed quite yet.
Oh, hang on. Oh, there we go. I think it just dropped out for a bit because internet's not the best at the moment. We've gotten a little bit of rain where I live, and I know sometimes when I end up getting rain, that's when everything just goes to shit.
Understandable.
Hang on, I'll just check right here. Yeah, looks good. But yeah, I think I'll send you the link later to the course after this, so that way you can check it out for yourself. If I remember correctly, it's like $100 Australian. So that should be like 70-something dollars US. Or you can do the course for free. But if you want the certificate, you have to pay for it.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I should note, however, I remember when I ended up doing the course myself, they said it should have been a 3-week course if you're doing, I think they said 3 hours per week. But for some reason, it only gave me like a week to do it. So it's like, if you're going to start this thing, make sure you got everything else out of the way. Or just put the videos on 2x speed. Because that's what I did. And someone else just commented saying it's not working. And now it's fine. Well,
that might be a sign. I'm just about out of time, so this might be a good time to stop.
Yeah, I was about to say, but probably best we stop, and with the other questions here and there, just save them for another time.
Sounds good.
Enjoyed the stream?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Calvin, and
you're welcome.
Have an awesome rest of your night.
For me, it's middle of the day at the moment, so I'm gonna have a good rest of my day.
Have a great rest of your afternoon and then evening.
Yeah, and hopefully you end up getting a fair bit of sleep. I think you said you're traveling out of town. What was it, for another dig,
Yeah.
or just...
Yeah, we're gonna go visit my in-laws.
Cool.
It's gonna be a good time.
In that case, I hope you have fun, and see you next time I decide to have you on. If you want to come back on.
Thank you so much, Calvin.
Yep.
See you around.
See ya. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, ends another stream. See you all next time.